We are back for taking shots on social. Cheers. 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 Yeah, it's vodka. It's all vodka.
I would drink with you guys, but
well, this is in honor of Lana's, European, Eastern European, or yeah, that would be Eastern European, right? Heritage. And I believe that you're a vodka kind of girl. So
straight up drink down people. That's how we're fancy.
Wow. Well, all right. With that, I guess we're going to get serious. So welcome today to Taking Shots on Social, where typically we dive deep on someone's social media channels because they might be struggling in one way or another. So today, Lana actually reached out. We're really good friends. And Lana, I've had multiple people reach out to me and say, why is Lana the guest? I mean, like, she crushes social media. But folks, she is the one who said she struggles with consistency. So she is awesome. When she does it, she's amazing, but she struggles with consistency. And I think a lot of you do too. So this brainchild was brought on by Michelle Berman. You all know her. She's always in Drunk on Social, bringing phenomenal value. She is an Instagram queen. Michelle, I'm going to let you introduce yourself as if they don't already know you, and then let you kick this thing off.
Well, thanks for being here, both of you guys. I'm excited. As you said, Jeff, Lana is no secret, or is no stranger, I should say, to doing social media really well. But I think no matter how good we are at it, no matter how long we've been doing it, I think there's little things that we can do to kind of level that up. And when it comes to where Lana's struggling, the consistency side, I'm excited to dive into that because I think it's one of those things that everybody kind of deals with. Like even myself, I've been doing this for 7 years and it's still, there's those weeks where I'm like, shit, I forgot to do that. And it happens. But for those of you guys who don't know me or aren't familiar with me, my name is Michelle Berman, Michelle Michael on Facebook. It's my married name. Everyone gets messed up with that. But I've been doing this for 7 years. I'm the owner of Berman Media PD and the creator of the Instagram Power Method program. That is designed to serve people just like Lana and others who really need help in the consistency piece, but also how do we convert on this platform, right? How do we generate business off of Instagram, not just by posting and hoping that somebody or resonates with somebody, but doing it intentionally and really getting your ideal client out of it, I think is our goal ultimately.
So welcome, Lana Rodriguez from Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Wow. Well, thank you for the shout out, Jeff Pfitzer and Michelle. It's a pleasure. Putting it myself kind of on the spotlight because I have issues, which realtor doesn't, jokes aside. But it's been hard to keep up consistent flow and consistent media presence for myself and my brand. And there's some areas where we suck more than others, just being fully transparent. Instagram is one of them, of course. And I stopped posting on TikTok only because I'm just too busy. That's one of the excuses we like to use in real estate world, right? But it would be nice to maybe, find a little help or find a little system. I know personally I cannot do it myself. I'm just too busy. I'm really too busy right now. Like I just can't, I do not have, time to wake up and let me go ahead and do my Instagram post or set a timer for this. It's just not how my brain functions. My personal Facebook is good. And then our business Facebook page is like, it's sometimes at time to time, so.
Yeah.
Okay. So before we get started, so talk about which platforms that you are inconsistent on. So Facebook, you already mentioned Facebook business. You've got one Instagram page.
I have my personal Instagram page and I have a Instagram business page that actually looks so sad. I kind of want to unfollow myself. Just, that feeling? I mean, like, what in the world is happening here?
Okay. And you have TikTok.
I have TikTok. Yeah.
Do you do LinkedIn?
I have a LinkedIn profile and I use it for a couple of job ads, but I don't constantly post there.
Okay.
Because that platform is so unfamiliar to me.
I think the focus then today is going to be Instagram and Facebook, obviously. Now, first things first, and Michelle, correct me if I'm wrong. We usually advise people to have one Instagram. Take your Instagram, create a creator account, not personal, not business, but creator, which is kind of a hybrid of the two, and commingle your content.
We'll get to that.
Okay, go on. Then I'll let you take
it. The creator account is fantastic. There's so many pros to being a creator account, the music, the this, the that. But when I'm working with agents specifically, the business account is really what it needs to be. The reason being is the power to be able to use analytics and study our data is everything. For anyone who's read Good to Great, it's probably one of my favorite books of all time. He talks about the organizations and the companies that go from good to great and stay great are the ones that look at data and don't bullshit it. They see if it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not. And so being a business account, we get access to all of that. We do in some extents we do sometimes with creator account, but here's the big kicker with creator versus business. And this goes to Lana's point, right? Of she's out there selling a crap ton of real estate and doesn't have time to remember to post every single day. A lot of us fall into that category. So with that being said, as a business account, you can use an automation software. So you can use a third-party platform that you are not allowed to use as a creator account. So the API integration is not allowed in creator, but it is allowed in business accounts. So that's the big difference. Now, if you want to schedule content as a creator account, you can do so through Facebook Creator Studio. But here is why I love Planoly, which is the automation software that I use. I've been using it for 7 years. I teach all of my students to use it. Planoly allows us to auto post to Instagram and Facebook, and it goes business to business. So Lana, for you would be business Instagram to business Facebook. You can also post to Twitter, Pinterest, and LinkedIn is supposedly coming within the next 6 months. So all of a sudden, you're creating one piece of content and multi-purposing it across every piece or every platform. And the beautiful thing about Planoly that I teach is that it forms to the platform. So if you're posting on Facebook, it's going to look like it's supposed to look on Facebook. Whereas if it's going on Instagram, it's going to look like what it's supposed to look like on Instagram. So you're posting at one time and it adapts to the platform, which is really important. And so Jeff, to your point, that's why I don't allow creator accounts for our students, not because it's not great, but just because it takes away that automation piece to things that a lot of our really busy clients and busy students need.
Automation from where?
Third-party software. So the buffers, the Hootsuite, the Later, the Planoly, all of those softwares that everyone out there is using.
So I believe that they still connect to creator because I have 2 different platforms that have done posting for me before.
I've heard differently. And if you want to show me, I'd be excited.
You know what? I don't know. I'm going to ask because I can connect with one of my VAs right now and ask her because I'm just curious.
Yeah, because that's a great point. Because for the last several months that I've been doing this and dealing with our clients directly, they change it to creator, and then all of a sudden Planoly, when they log in, they get the error notification saying they can no longer post. So yeah.
Michelle, for our audience who is watching, can you spell it out how Planoly or Planoly spells out?
Everyone always calls it cannoli because it's easier to just say, and I'm like, well, now I'm hungry. But Planoly is Planoly. So plan and then OLY at the end. It's a whopping $84 for the entire year.
Wow.
And the analytics and the opportunity for me to diagnose problems when people are looking at Instagram and saying, Instagram's not working for me. Right? I can see all of the analytics on one page, and it's got way more than just the professional dashboard that you would see on your phone.
What is Creator Studio?
Creator Studio is built within Facebook. So it's basically Facebook's version of automation. And it's got a little more power than some other ones. Some of the things you can do is you can auto post or pre-plan or schedule out, if you will, the longer form video. But it does not post to Instagram for you.
So my VA uses Creator Studio to post to my Instagram.
Interesting. Yeah.
So maybe it's changed. Maybe it's updated. I don't know.
Maybe Creator Studio is the only way to be able to have a creator account and go to Instagram, because I know for a fact Planoly, Buffer, Hootsuite, all of those, they do not auto post on your behalf if you're not a business account.
This is live learning, folks, right as we go along. And I'm not the expert at this. That's why I hire people to help me with it. I create a lot of my own content, but I hire people to help me, just like I think, Lana, you need to do that.
Yes, and help. Yes.
Well, and let's talk about that a little bit too, Michelle, because I think there's a lot of people that are going to watch this and listen to this and say, I'm in the same damn boat. Like I'm not creative enough to come up with content, which is not true for Lana, or B, I just don't feel like I have the time, or I just don't want to make the time. Like I just want to relax every once in a while. Right. Which is something I don't do because I'm always posting freaking on social media. do you suggest, I think the one question I would have is, do you suggest that they do, if you hire automation, does that like take away the authenticity to a degree?
So here's the thing is when you use automation, you still have to create the content, right? So you still have to develop the voice and create it and put it out there. Now, my issue, if I think I understand your question, my issue is if Lana were to go hire an assistant to create and develop all of her social media, here's where the problem comes in. It's if that assistant is not living, breathing, experiencing Lana every single day, that content is not going to feel like Lana. And her audience is going to very quickly see through that, especially because Lana's known for being very authentic and very off the cuff and being available that way. So when you hire somebody with, I think the struggle that I've noticed and seen so many times over and over and over again is they get this assistant, the content churns out. A lot of it's really cookie cutter and it's very basic because, oh, well, they're posting, but it has no value. It doesn't sound like Lana. It doesn't feel like Lana. And all of a sudden, whatever brand she's developed becomes very, unapproachable, right? Because I'm like, well, I know somebody's running that for Lana, so I'm not going to bother DMing because she's probably not going to see it or respond to it. And secondly, you lose that emotional connection to the person that you're trying to reach out to. So even if Lana wants to hire an assistant, I think that's fantastic, but that person needs to be living, breathing, eating with Lana every single day, at least for a while until they can start taking over, because they'll get understanding of Lana's voice, some of the words she says and some of the words she doesn't say. Because those people that really know her, if they start seeing content go out and the captions they're using with words that Lana would never say, people are going to notice that. And I deal with this every single day and have a ton of clients that have experienced that problem. And your audience, when you think it might not be a big deal, I can promise you that it is, especially if you already have the brand that she does.
So Lana, if somebody starts captioning your posts and they start spelling words correctly and using proper grammar, we're going to know it's not you. I'm teasing.
We're friends, Jeff. Otherwise, I'll tell you something. But typically, my way of communication, social media is very exciting. It's just very sweet and nice, and I do not use complicated verbiage because I'm afraid to misspell it or mispronounce it, right? Because English is like my fourth language. But I completely understand. It will not make sense to bring a robot to post on my behalf, and it will be like, what is she posting? Like, it's not Lana, so it can be pretty obvious.
Yeah, for sure. And to take it one step further, I think if I can, or maybe one step backwards, I guess would be a better way of saying that. The types of content we need to be producing to create consistency, right? So I just posted in the group a few minutes ago about this, but content calendaring is a big problem. And I say that in a way that is meant to be positive. But the very basic content calendars that you guys can go out on Instagram or on social media, or go to Google and download social media content calendar for realtors, right? You get all these very basic content calendars. In my opinion, and again, this is my opinion, those are great for people who are terrible at posting in the first place and just need to figure out how to even remember to post. That is not for people like Lana, who have a very established brand, have a very identifiable ideal client, market share in her area, and all of that. So when you're content calendaring, it's about who's my ideal client? What does my ideal client need to see on a consistent basis? So what I always tell people is there's 4 pillar pieces of content you should be producing, and those 4 pieces need to be customized to you. So for you, Lana, as a real estate agent, number 1 needs to be listings. And it's not just listings, it's transactional history. So listings, sold, under contract, pending, open house. If you're doing a big open house party, or you got $1 million listing and you're doing a big champagne brunch, like promote that type of stuff on listing day. Number 2 is testimonials. Now for you, Lana, my suggestion would be video testimonials with clients. If you can get it, especially because you are who you are. So video testimonials are a lot more powerful than written. But if you're going to get written, use them too. So they can be interchangeable on, testimonial day, if you will. The third piece of content is, in my opinion, the most important, and it's value series. So some of you guys in the Facebook group, Drunk on Social, have probably heard me talk about value series time and time again. But what it is creating really high value content, whether it's specific to real estate or not, but it gives you one topic for the entire month that you're going to break down into 5 bullet points. Now, I just did this earlier today with a client on a call. We made an entire value series around appraisals, but instead of talking about appraisals from a real estate perspective where your audience isn't going to understand anything about what you're talking about, what we had to do was we had to flip it upside down and say, why would me as your realtor be the best person to use specifically when it relates to appraisals? And she went into this whole thing about how, when she's submitting the appraisal report to the appraiser before they even go to the property, she has the entire last 12-month history of the neighborhood broken into 3 months, all the way broken down. It's like this crazy report. And she has all of that sent to the appraiser before that person even ever goes to the property, especially because, as we know, a lot of appraisers get sent to areas that they don't know. So here in Arizona, we have Scottsdale, but there's like 5 zip codes in Scottsdale. So even within one zip code, you may have a shitty area of Scottsdale and you may have a good area, and that appraiser's not going to know the difference. They're just going to look at the zip code, right? In many cases. So the point being, we're going to talk about appraisals, but we're going to talk about it from a very unique perspective, from you being the agent talking to your consumer or your client, and how hiring you is going to solve all of these problems of, especially in our market right now with everything going over asking, how can I make sure your house is going to appraise because of the fact that it's probably going to go $40,000 over asking? Here's how, right? So that's the third type of content. And the fourth one is my favorite. It's just lifestyle images. It's just you doing you living life. The fun pictures of you going and getting coffee, you and your husband on date night. It doesn't matter what it is.
What
And
date?
I know, I was like, what is that? I don't even remember the last time I had one. But the point being is, it's who is Lana, right? I want to know who Lana is when she's not working, which is never. And when, or how I can connect to her emotionally. Right? What are you into outside of work, right? You'll find me, I'm most likely at the gym. Honestly, that's probably the only other place I ever go. So my point is, when you're developing, you have these pillars, it all of a sudden makes it really easy to create content very consistently, because you know what's coming next. Instead of, how many times have we all been like, I don't know what to post today, so I'm just not going to. You know what I mean?
Sometimes I just forget, because as far as my personal Facebook page, it's I interact there daily. I have my client groups there, part of all the other mod groups and whatnot. On Instagram, I check it once, like every morning I check, and then every night. And I'm not there socializing or, commenting. It's just more of a checkbook point. And believe it or not, when I actually got in the mode last year is when I jump started my TikTok. So my TikTok is all completely organic growth. There's like almost 28,000 followers, and I was really in a groove. I was really enjoying it. And then I was reposting content on Instagram, right? Not on Reels. Reels are still a bit complicated to me.
It's clunkier than TikTok. It's terrible. Just FYI.
Thank you for admitting that, because I was like, am I really that dumb? I cannot figure out the Reels, or just,
it's a poor man's TikTok. So it'll
get better, but right now it is a little clunky. But I can tell you, you have to be doing Reels. Like if you're trying to generate business off this platform, you cannot make it in TikTok and put it on Instagram and expect it to do as well. That's been proven. But on top of it, like, it sucks initially. There's a massive learning curve for most people. But I promise you it gets easier. And it's, even for me, I'm not a huge fan of doing them, but I know I have to. So I just kind of rip the Band-Aid off and do it.
It's easier than you think, Lana. You just got to play around with the buttons. Once you do it a few times, you'll realize, it's basically TikTok, just weaker. That's it.
Yeah, if you're really good at TikTok,
which she is, and she is. So
yeah, but you know what? When I was semi-consistent on Instagram, I actually got a couple leads. There was a couple agents who found me, and they're like, "We found you on Instagram." Because every time I get a lead on Instagram or inquiry, I was like, "Hey, how did you find me?" And they're like, "Well, we looked up your profile, or we looked up these hashtags." Right? I kind of started doing hashtags appropriate to my area, and I got a couple client referrals, and I got a couple client inquiries. So I know it works. Am I consistent enough to work it? No, but I know it works. There's some magic behind it.
Yeah. I guess my next question for you, Lana, to kind of put you on the hot seat, right, which is sort of the point of what we're trying to do, is what's the one thing you think that's keeping you from being consistent aside from saying I'm busy? Because we know you are, and obviously it's amazing that you are. But how do we separate I'm busy from what can I do to get consistent?
Well, so my day, it consists of like when the things are on my calendar, it's going to be priorities. So priorities are always anything that comes with a team, because I do manage small but mighty team in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And anything employee related, client related always comes first. If that escalates during my day, then attention is on that. The same time, anything with my family, with my kids, if something's wrong with them, is one of them sick, that's it. My mind completely shuts off, right? And that's why TikTok worked great last year, because we were less busy, we were on stay home order, whatever, right? And then when business picked up, when I was back in the field selling and dealing with things, I was like, is it a priority for me to go see this client or see this employee or go make a TikTok? Because in order to make a great TikTok, you have to prepare. You cannot like half-ass it, right? And that's when the priorities kind of overbear. Does it make sense?
Yeah, for sure. So what I heard you say too, if I could say this out loud again and do it from a loving perspective of a business owner, right? And from girl boss to girl boss is, if it's not in my planner, I won't do it, like period, right? So if I know that I need to be posting 5 days a week at least, and that's all I do. I don't post 7 days a week. I post in stories 7 days a week. But as far as my content, it's 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. So in my planner, first thing Monday morning, I time block 30 minutes, maybe an hour, and I schedule 5 pieces of content. So I write 5 captions, and the content, I already know what's coming because I have my content calendar in front of me and I have it written out and I know what's coming next. So I can produce it. And it takes me not even an hour every single week. And then I don't have to even look at it. I do, obviously, because unlike, you, I'm not selling real estate. I'm doing Instagram all day. But I make sure that it's there. And other than that, I just have to post stories. I don't have to remember to post content. But my point being is, no matter how busy we are, if we say my calendar, I have to spend 30 minutes a week, that's it, creating 4 or 5 pieces of content. I don't care if it's 4 times a week, Lana. I just want to see it that many, at least pick a number and do it. And then the time block becomes, well, this is a priority, but at the same time, it's not the only thing I have going on.
Well, it's a very good point, but it would be nice also to know what to post, because I don't want to because Instagram, it's a picture platform. It's a beautiful photo platform. Now you can do videos or whatever, but sometimes I'm like, okay, this is kind of like a Facebook, because I already know my audience on Facebook, and I already know how every personal post is going to perform there, right? Where on Instagram, I'm like, well, I'm not going to post this photo because it's not kind of pretty. That's what's going through my head. And then I kind of maybe have a misconception that only certain posts need to go to Instagram to get even any clout on it.
Yeah, I think it's a misconception. I think you're super valid in feeling that way. And the what to post problem is solved by those 4 pillars we just talked about, right? So for anyone listening, go back and watch the recording of this, because I gave you the 4 pillars. For Jeff, those 4 pillars are a little bit different, because as on the lending side plus on the business side, one of his days instead of listing day could be a podcast episode piece, right? From one of the many podcasts either he's been on or he's had people on his. So every person's different. And now you can see why, right? Because we all have different business models. We all do different things. But the point of the matter is, I have a content calendar. I have the 4 pillar pieces of content that are specific to me, and I know what's coming. Now we work with a lender client, for example, that he is a lender coach, right? So he works for a big lending company and he's the coach to the lenders. So instead of a listing day, he does either a lender spotlight or a realtor spotlight, or he does a book quote. He kind of moves around between that, and it's very fluid. But at the same time, on Monday, when he sits down and does it, he's like, hey, I'm doing book quote this week on that day. And he's got a bazillion book quotes. We all do. And so again, it allows you to pre-plan a lot in advance. So it takes away the what to post question. Now, the next thing is the beautiful, pretty picture. What do we do? Right. And I can tell you, it doesn't matter what you look like, because people will love you. And I say that truthfully, because, I post in stories all the time, and half the time my hair's up on my head and I just got home from the gym and I look like crap. right? But I show up authentically because that's how we connect to people. And so even on my Instagram, like on the actual feed, half the time those pictures, I would never post them willingly, but I know I need to just be authentic in that process, and that's how it comes out. So I think that I think there's a lot to that, but I think that hopefully that helps at least break it down a little bit.
You know, Lana, I think you're a lot like me though, where I think at some point you got to figure out for yourself. And I kind of figured this out on accident, which was I was at a point where the business was getting like, I knew where I needed to go. It's either I just need to immerse myself in business and turn off everything to the world, or I need to scale and I need to find people to do the things I don't like to do. And the reality is I love social. I love creating content. I love doing video. And so I kind of had to shut off and to a certain degree of just tell people like, I know this sounds weird, but this is, you know, you can see that it's having a massive impact on our business. I need to spend time doing it. And I still suck at time blocking. I still work too many hours keeping up. Right. But it's because I'm kind of committed to a vision. And so now, you know, I mean, you know, because we're starting to work together on the business side, and it's all about scaling. And like I do all business development, all the attraction. And then once that Phil Chavez comes in, doesn't even deal with me anymore unless he wants to grow a brand. That's it, right? Because I'm hiring, and we just hired a marketing manager today. I just made an offer to somebody, and I think you have to decide for yourself too. Like, where do you want to go? Do you want to hire a platform or a service or a person to do your media, or do you enjoy it so much that you need to hire people to run your business? So, like you said, when a deal blows up, you don't have to spend time. You can pass it off and be like, I need you guys to deal with this. And yeah, you're going to have to get in every once in a while, but by and large, you can now spend a hell of a lot more time creating that content, because I still believe, and Michelle, correct me if I'm wrong, and you know my game, I believe there's a certain degree of having both. It's impossible to be as consistent as you want to be unless you're doing it for yourself full time, which is probably not possible for successful people. So there's a certain degree of having an assistant or a VA doing it for you, and a certain level of you doing it for yourself. Because without my authentic posts, I don't think I have the engagement and the success that I have with social. If it's just quotes, even though my people do an amazing job, it's not enough. It's my filler content. And I think that's kind of a mindset that I think you just need to get to, and then couple it with, you know, learning from people like Michelle, who, I mean, clearly she's a savant at this.
No, Jeff, that's a very good point. Thank you for telling me, and I'm sure our audience can relate too. Because ultimately, right now, my company is in the growing stages. You know, we're just brought four new agents and a couple staff members. And I'm kind of solely responsible for training them and setting them up for success. However, my ultimate goal is to be the brand and the face of the company. Mm-hmm. And yes, I do enjoy the most. I enjoy people interactions. That's why I'm always trying to break bread with my clients and see them when I can, and host our client events, and then do marketing in between. You know, so
it sounds like to me, Lana, I mean, you're so much like me in so many ways. I already knew that, but just this is the first time for those like who are watching too. Like Lana and I have talked so much, I feel like off light or off online, but in real life, this is the first time we've really ever interacted. And for me, I want to be you when I grow up. You know, I feel like we're doing a really good job over here in Camp Burma Media, but at the same time, I look at somebody like you and I say, Jeff and I both know, Jeff knows what my word of the year is. I know what Jeff's word of the year is. And for us, it's scale. And we're in a position where I had to hire out. There was no way that I could serve every person in every aspect of what I do and still have a life outside of that. Right. And there's something, it's a hard pill to, like, for me, it was a hard pill to swallow, right? To let go of the control of a piece of our business. But when I did, and I did it confidently, knowing that I left her in really good hands, it allowed me the time to do the things that I am passionate about, which is this, working with people and talking and networking and speaking and doing the things that moves the needle for so many people. But if I was posting content, if I was posting stories, if I was taking care of our VIP clients, if I was planning all of our events, if I was doing all of that, it'd been impossible, absolutely impossible. So it sounds like you love social. It sounds like you love TikTok. It sounds like you love that stuff. Do you need to be the person training everybody, or do you have people you trust to train? You got to ask yourself that question, because I would probably say that you have enough staff members or people on Team Lana that are good enough to train. They're never going to be you. Nobody's ever going to be you, right? But they're good enough to train other newbies to get halfway decent. And then Lana may have to come in as a kicker at the end. But it frees up so much time when you do that.
Oh, I'm with you. Well, end of this year, I will have everybody trained, but we even have like new ops manager, new in-house admin. So I'm gonna borrow the word scale. So it's 3 of us scaling right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I want to scale the right way this time. So that's a goal.
That's my suggestion too, is because of that authentic piece. Because in fact, I just got off another webinar, which was in lab coats with a bunch of IGers actually. It was with Very Social and Ed Stulak, you know, Ed, and there's this Peggy gal who's from New York. She does a great job on IG too. And the consensus was this, folks, like for consistency, we're talking about consistency. I'm just talking about Instagram here, but I would say this applies to Facebook too. 4 to 5 feed posts per week was the consensus. This is not me saying this. This is them. And 5 to 10 stories a day.
10
and
stories
that
a day.
5 to 10 stories a day, which
it's not hard, girl.
It seems like a lot, but in reality, you just got to get good at documenting your life. And like, there are days like today, I think I've only posted twice, and I'll go back through my camera feed because I document enough every single day that I can grab stuff from different days and post it. And that's kind of what I do, because some days, because you also, and this was interesting, Michelle, Ed said this, you also don't want to overpost your story, because when you overpost your story, you can create story fatigue with your audience. And so it's like, you want to find that right mix and everybody says 5 to 10. I would start at 3 to 5. Like, don't overwhelm yourself. If you're not doing 1, get to 1, then get to 2 or to 3, then, scale.
So I say 5 to 7 when I talk to our students, but 5 to 10, I absolutely agree with. Now, the thing with stories, I will tell everybody this same thing. And I know Ed, I don't know him personally, but I know if he heard me say this, he would agree, that you get to a point where sometimes in stories, it's all of one thing and it's too much of one thing, right? So for me, it's really important when I'm posting in stories that people see my face at least once a day, whether that's on video, whether that's a still image. This morning, I literally took a selfie of me getting coffee from one of my favorite coffee shops and posted it. I just took a screenshot of the 3 of us. That's going up in stories after this. That took me 2 seconds to do. There's a combination of that. Me personally, I post when I'm at the gym a lot. I post food. Everybody, for some reason, loves watching what I eat. I don't understand why, but so I keep posting it, right? Because my audience likes that. My point being, it's a little bit of this, it's a little bit of that. There's not a whole lot of it's all business or it's all personal. And one of the things that has been beautiful about that is when people reach out as far as working with us, a lot of the times it's like they know more about me than I even thought possible, right? And it's almost kind of creepy when you're on those calls, because you're like, how do you know so much about me? But it's beautiful, right? Because those sales calls don't feel like sales calls anymore, because you're just talking to somebody that feels very connected to you for whatever reason. So ask yourself, Lana, right? Where do I spend time? Even if it's during the day, right? Am I going and doing showings? Am I sitting in the car in traffic, driving from A to B? And can I jump on my phone and talk to my camera and say, hey, I just left this listing appointment with this incredible person that I just met. I'm so excited to work with them. Here's why. Or I just left a buyer's consultation. They're going to be perfect for this type of house. Anyone out there that knows anything that, before it hits the market, let me know. Mm-hmm. And then you also get the coffee stuff. You also get the kids stuff. You get the, what are you, doing in your free time? What does Christmas look like? And all of a sudden it's like, I just really love Lana. Right?
So here's a question. How do you choose what to post on personal Facebook and what to post on personal Instagram?
So I don't use a personal Instagram at all. My business one is my personal brand. So obviously from the beginning, when we talked about this, right, we talked about the 4 pillar pieces, and one of those pillar pieces is lifestyle images. So that's me, that's my husband, that's my dog, that's my girlfriends, that's, this weekend I'll post a picture at the gender reveal, all that stuff. So your business page needs to be that really beautiful marry of personal and business. If you look at Jeff, Jeff doesn't have 2 Instagrams. Jeff has Jeff's Instagram, and it's his wife and it's kids, and it's his anniversary in Vegas with his wife. But it's also, hey, I'm at work at a new office, breaking bread, in this case, drinking beer with my buddies, right? So don't even take the time to make 2. I think so many people get so wrapped up in that. Make a business page, make it personal on the business page, and you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. And at the end of the day, people are going to hire you because they like you, not because they give a crap about the house that you just sold.
So this is a good point. So my personal Instagram page is a business page, I think. I'm not even sure. I don't even know. But
I looked at it before we started. It is.
It is? Okay, great. See, I do also have business page, which is the PCS Colorado page, with about 600 followers. I don't even post there. My videographer posts there. So any piece of content he creates, he just posts there. And I mean, it's not very appealing to me, to my eyes, but
if you're not the one, if it's not a burden to you, I wouldn't get rid of it. If you've got somebody to manage that and it's all going to be real estate and images, keep it. It's a brand page, but for you, for your authenticity, it's going to be your Lana Rodriguez page. I won't call it personal, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I would tell you that the business one, keep the business one, but especially if somebody else is running it, right? And when I say business, I mean the company one, right? But tell the person who's running that it needs to not just be videos of property, because people are not going to follow it and it's not going to matter. If it's just videos or pictures of property, as you said, it's not visually pleasing, and I don't really care. What I do care about is, what are the behind the scenes pictures? Did you go to a client appreciation party? Did you do a client appreciation event? Hey, even maybe spotlighting some of the agents that are part of the team and tagging their Instagrams and sending the people who are consuming it to the individual's Instagram and their brands. Right. So there's so many ways to do it where it actually adds value and doesn't just say, buy me, buy me, buy me, or I sold you, I sold you, I sold you.
Yeah, of course. I'm with you.
At the end of the day, and I think we need to wrap up here in a minute, but I think at the end of the day, for anybody struggling with consistency, I think the key is you've got to make a commitment. You've got to make a commitment to your brand. And if you're going to make a commitment to your brand, what does that mean? I'll tell you, it only means social media anymore. I mean, yeah, it might mean the occasional farming, and it might mean a billboard, but that's not branding anymore. That's just fluff crap from the Stone Ages. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. Maybe it might work in your market, but it's just additional. Social media is the future of our world. It's the now of our world. And if you care about a brand, if you don't like calling, knocking on doors and calling on expireds and doing all those traditional things, which work, but if you want to attract business, you got to commit to this. And therefore it means, and I'll say it to my good friend, Lana Rodriguez, that you got to figure out how to build it into your daily life, because the world needs more of Lana Rodriguez. I can tell you right now, TikTok proved that. And if you can figure out a way to, give yourself that hour or 2 hours a day to commit to just making sure stuff's getting put up, gosh, it's going to catapult your business.
Well, yeah. And you even said, you were getting referrals, you were getting a little bit of this, you were getting a little bit of that. I mean, girl, I would beg to say, if you spend an hour a week creating enough content for the entire week, you'd probably triple your lead generation off this platform in 2021 easily.
Wow.
And that's without even doing engagement. I haven't even said one word about engagement and doing it, because it's a whole nother beast, right? But just showing up in stories and showing up on your feed, what will happen? So consistency, and I want to end with this and say this, and I want everyone to hear me when I do. When you're showing up consistently, there's a couple things that happen. Number one, you're building authority, right? All of a sudden you have this presence that people can count on you showing up, right? They know that Lana's going to show up in stories. So they open Instagram every morning, they see your bubble that's got a rainbow around it, and they want to click and see it. The second thing is that when you show up consistently over time, you start to tell your audience that you're more available to them, right? So people are going to be more confident in reaching out to you and saying, hey, Lana, I saw you posted that in stories yesterday, and they know that they're going to get a response, right? How many times, I think all of us have done it. We go on Instagram, and I'll use myself as an example. When my husband and I were searching for wedding venues and wedding planners, I went on Instagram and I reached out to a whole bunch of them. And the ones that never responded to me lost any chance of getting my business. Why? Because they weren't posting consistently. And I saw that, but I was also testing my own thought process. And they never reached back out. So not only did they have a beautiful venue, or they did have a beautiful venue, but they didn't have the follow-up or the communication on the platform that we are consuming every single day, right?
Mhm.
So now the fact that I'm showing up on Instagram and I'm always available, people know that if they send me a DM, they're going to get a response, and they're going to get it from me. They're not going to get it from a robot. They're not going to get it from an assistant. They're going to get it from me, because I've made that a priority for me and my business. And for you, maybe all you do is stories. Maybe you hire out the feed content, but if all you do is stories every single day and you get in the habit of that 5 to 10 we've been talking about, you will have a shit ton of DMs every morning to answer, because people will be excited that you're there all the time.
So just to make sure, stories, because I know what's a Facebook story and I know what's an Instagram story, but not Instagram Reels. We're not talking about Reels. Don't focus on the
We're
Reels.
talking about just stories right now.
Okay.
Yep. Reels are a ball game by themselves. I feel like we need a whole nother hour for that. And it's a different conversation for sure.
All right. I think actually this is very helpful. I took all these notes here because that's how my brain works. And I actually took out some very helpful posts from both of you. So thank you guys. I love you both. And I'm excited to see where this brings me.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You're awesome.
You are. And for those of you who aren't following these two ladies, first of all, you're already here in Drunk on Social. So you see plenty of Michelle. I know that. And Lana, I have a feeling we're going to start to see more of her. If you don't follow her on TikTok, she's got a ton of content over there. Fine. Maybe you haven't done anything a lot recently, but like that is a perfect display of your personality. And that's why you've grown so organically. It's amazing.
Hey, my last TikTok went viral with 50,000 views. Let's not discuss what was the topic, but it doesn't matter. It went viral. So
hey, it doesn't matter what went viral, right? What matters is it got eyeballs onto all the other content that does matter as far as getting them to want to work with you.
exactly.
100%. Awesome. Ladies, thank you so much. Thank you to the Drunk on Social community. Thank you for those of you that are in the back end here on Zoom. The recording will be up on Drunk on Social. So go watch it like 6 times over, just for their beauty, if nothing else.
Oh my gosh. I woke up like this, just saying.
I just get my lashes done just for this. So
I get my lashes done tomorrow because I got to look good for the, you know what, photos on Saturday.
Here we go. Yes. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
All right. See you guys. Thank you. See you next week. Bye-bye.